All right, guys, time to talk about Tier 13 items, which we all know are really important right now because that's what helps you get to Fear the Darkness and potentially unlock Ultron, who is the most OP character in the game right now. As you can see, I don't have any Tier 13 characters quite yet. I'm pretty close on Rocket, and then a couple more are just a few items off. But I just want to walk through how I track that, what I use to visualize where I'm at with that progress, and trying to figure out like what my team will be once I get, 12 of each item that I need. So first thing, you always need to check the store every single day, 3 times a day, plus whatever your refreshes are, to see what pops up and if it's going to help you. For instance, right here, I got Drax a couple of spores. He's got 8, so I've marked it into my sheet over here. And Fury has 6, so I've marked that down here. And then I've also prioritized each one of these items based on the characters that it applies to. So from left to right, these are the people that I will upgrade first with each one of these items, at least for right now. Um, Things could change depending on any buffs or changes to the teams, especially if Endgame brings us any cool changes to the Avengers team that may really improve them. So we'll see. But the guys that I'm focusing on, if you watch my other videos for Arena and stuff, you know I love Groot, Star-Lord, Rocket, Minerva, and then Juggernaut's awesome to throw in there. War Machine's a lot of fun, and Fury's pretty great. So hoping to get, 5 of those guys of some combination, but I'm really working on all of them at once because I don't know what my luck's going to be for these items. So it's really important that you don't just focus on only 5 characters, especially if any of them happen to share the same unique item, because then you're going to really make a bottleneck for yourself, and it's going to take a lot longer to get into Fear of the Darkness. But you need to get 5 characters as soon as you can just to get in there and get it started. Start, chipping away at those nodes and making your progress along, because you'll also get a ton of orange gear at the end of it, in addition to those Ultron shards. So that's pretty significant, and that's going to help with building up more characters to tier 13 and continuing to improve your roster. So this is how I track it. You're welcome to copy this into your own spreadsheet or Google Drive or whatever. It's under my Tier 13 Uniques tab on the spreadsheet, and I would recommend using it to manage and track your progress. And it also helps you prioritize things because you can always redo your priorities as you need to. But if you look at what I've done here is highlighting the different teams that we use. So Guardians, Fury, Shield, all of them, just highlighting them in colors kind of helps you visualize where they are on the different types of gear that they need, right? So you can see like Brotherhood needs 5 different pieces, so it's much more likely to upgrade all 5 of them as a team than it is necessarily the Defenders plus Punisher, because Jessica Jones and Punisher share the same item. Shield is really bad about this. As you can see, Security and Op share the same shield tech thing, and then Fury and Medic share as well. And then Shield Assault, I got him way down here on my priority list because I love Rocket. Thanos would be amazing to get in there with a Rocket, Thanos, Minerva, Star-Lord combo, and maybe throwing Groot or Drax with them. I think that would be an amazing team to have. Magneto, I have a really good Magneto. I'd love to have him in there, but him and the Rocket and Thanos all share the same item, so I'm not going to get all 3 of these guys for a while. So I'm just focusing on Rocket right now because he's my favorite, so I want him up as high as possible all the time. And then if I happen to get 12 on War Machine, I'll upgrade him too. He does a lot of damage. He's got some pretty useful utilities, and he may be very useful as well. Plus, I got 6 red stars on him, so that makes it a lot easier to use him in Fear the Darkness. So this is how I'm managing it. I recommend you guys do something similar, following this kind of scheme of just figuring out what teams are viable for you, because if you end up with a whole bunch on the same row for the same type of gear, it's going to be a long time till you get those done. So just consider that. The other thing I've noticed is if we switch over to my roster here, let's go to one of these tier 13 or tier 12 guys trying to go to 13 and look at their gear. So I love tech gear characters. I've used a ton of tech characters, and I have them all very high for the most part. So what I've noticed is I've hit a little bit of a gear bottleneck besides the unique gear. And so tech guys need these charged particles and unstable molecules, and you need 16 and 20 per piece of gear. So you can see here you need 10 times 2 of the molecules, and you need 3 times 2 of the particles, plus on the other side of the gear, you need 5 times 2 of the particles. So that's 16 total for one piece of gear. And this is pretty consistent from what I've seen. So 10 here, 6 here, and then another 10 times 2, 20. Pretty much every orange piece of gear for tech requires that. And so if we're looking through these things and trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we plan ahead for that? Well, that's a lot of items, and it just depends on how many oranges they require in these tier 12 slots. So even their tier 13 stuff, or tier 12 uniques to get the 13 stuff, also requires a few of them, but not quite as many. So if you are going skill heavy on like a Fury team, you're going to need a ton of these dossiers and intel, and you might even have to look at the locked cases. But that's something I wanted to point out here, and this is really the important thing is if we look at somebody like Fury, my Fury is tier 12 right now, right? So he needs 20 of these dossiers and 16 of these, or I'm sorry, 16 dossiers and 20 of these intel thingies per piece of gear, but he also needs 10 locked cases per piece of gear, right? So if I have, 170 of these locked cases, I'm probably pretty good on those for a couple of characters. But I've only got 140 of these intels, which is 7 pieces of gear that I can upgrade with that. 127 of these things is only about 8 or so upgrades that I can do as far as total pieces of gear. So that's something else to think about. If you're going heavy on a specific origin, like I was going heavy on tech until I realized this, you're going to need to farm a whole bunch of these particular items. So you may need to start inventorying that to figure out if you can even get all 5 of the type of character that you want to tier 13 in a reasonable amount of time. And these do show up in the stores. They show up in the War store quite a bit. That one has a lot, but of course, War credits are really expensive and hard to come by. So you may not want to buy that, or you may not want to use them to buy that. But you can buy them with gold. Unfortunately, I've only seen single drops of these, so I've been buying the charged particles for 32,000 gold every time I see them, and the unstable molecules, just so I can keep a supply to keep my guys moving to tier 13, since I haven't finished Star Lord's tier 12 stuff. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. I'm not sure what the mutant bottlenecks are yet because I don't have any mutants to tier 12. I have Juggernaut to tier 12, but he's actually Mystic. So, in any case, just want to point all that out, show everybody where I'm at and what I'm doing. Feel free to copy this and use it yourself. I think it's a great tool for trying to just manage this move because there's a lot of things that you have to consider, especially with the team makeup and just getting lucky with the store. The last thing I want to point out is that some of these items are just crap and or have only crap characters on them, like Judas Bullets and Extremis. There's really no reason to buy them at this point because if they do add a new character that needs those to get to tier 13, unless you're, a multi-millionaire of gold in this game, you're not going to get them anywhere near tier 13 for quite some time. So it doesn't really make much sense to start collecting lots and lots of those if you're gold strapped. Focus on the items that you know are going to be useful for different characters. So like when I see something pop up that I know I'm not normally farming, like say, vibranium, I may come here and check and see what other people it could apply to, like arcane magic, for instance. I'm not buying that. I have Mordo to tier 10 or whatever, and that's about it. I'm not going to use these characters in Fear the Darkness unless I get like an overwhelming amount of this stuff. So it's not worth it because it's too much gold. It's too much like time and effort to try to get these guys up. So consider that too when you're planning out your tier 13 guys. So I just wanted to run by that, and show you guys what I'm doing there. I'm on my way to tier 13 on some of these guys. Rocket's 1 piece away. And then, of course, Star-Lord and Groot are really close. And it's just a matter of getting 12 of these things and then applying it. And so once I do that, I'll get to Fear to the Darkness and I'll start making some videos about that and walking through it because it looks like fun to me. I mean, I like the challenge of it. I actually enjoyed Enter the Darkness for quite some time. I also really like the way that you could reset, just quit out and come right back in and retry it. And I think that's really neat for a game mode like this where it's turn-based combat because that gives you a lot of time to strategize and try different things and then back out and redo it again and see how well you can do and how much you can improve from each time you're making an attempt. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be excited once I get there. It's taken a long time. So thought I'd review this. If you got any questions or comments, just let me know. Thanks.